This world's got a whole big crack. Gotta get that mojo moving before this train comes off the track.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Big Blend Radio with Nancy and Lisa, the crazy mother-daughter travel team and publishers of Big Blend magazines. And you just heard That's a Fact, Jack. It is the title track of the Kentucky-Headhunters' latest album. And we're super excited to have co-founder, lead guitarist, and radio host of the Lowdown Hoedown, Greg-Martin, join us. And so I encourage you to go to their website, KentuckyHeadhunters.net. You can get the album everywhere you can get albums. But welcome to the show, Greg. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you doing, Lisa? And Nancy?
We're doing good. So where are you today? Like, are you, in the recording studio? Are you in Kentucky? Where are you?
I'm in Electric Lazyland.
Ooh.
That's my home studio, which is not quite operational yet.
Oh.
But it's my music room. I do a little radio production here. I do eventually I do a live stream out here twice a month for a company called Together, which is 2gthr.co, which is a guitar deal for folks. Charlie Starr from Blackberry Smoke does his little show.
Sweet.
Audley Freed does his show for he plays with Sheryl Crow, and it's more about guitars. I do it twice a month from here. Eventually I'll do a little recording out of here, more overdubs and type stuff like that. But I'm at home. This is my home.
Sweet,
This
cool.
is the basement. It's operational here again. For
Awesome.
years it was a mess until pandemic hit. In 2020, me and a friend named Steve came down here and worked really hard for about 3 months and cleaned it up. So
Wow.
Nice.
Wow.
I like
Cool.
the cloth you have hanging in the
Yeah, I
back
do
there.
too.
That's cool.
Like a peacock.
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, you talking about my cloth back?
Yeah.
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 It's cool.
Yeah.
And then you can
got
see some
albums.
guitars, but not all. Like,
We got
come
a
on,
few
let's see the
guitars.
guitars. Come on.
There's
Oh,
some
wow.
hello.
Look at that.
Let's see what else you
Ooh.
can see. You see, there's a
Ooh.
Grammy back there.
Yeah.
You get
Oh, that's right.
There
Can't
we
forget
go.
the
there's some
Grammy Awards.
amplifiers. Look
Yeah.
around. Look at all the
Cool.
CDs. You see the
Ooh,
CDs?
yeah.
Wow.
Whoa, dude.
Oh, dang. I
And-
That's
want
a
to come hang out.
library.
Studio.
Oh,
and
there
all
we go. There we go. We're getting the
Wow.
full show here.
Hey, cool.
Yeah.
This is,
Yeah.
I love that you do guitar shows because guitars are like, do you name your guitars? I got to go straight up. Like, do you name them?
Some of them. Some of this right here, which came from Hank Williams Jr.
Oh.
That's Hank the Plank.
Hank the Plank.
Hank the Plank, and Joe Bonamassa named Hank the Plank.
Oh, sweet.
This right here don't really have a name, but it belonged to a fellow by the name of Travis Womack, who was a session player in Muscle Shoals. He played on Mac Davis records. He played on Allman Brothers records. He played on a lot of hit records down there. This guitar was on some hits. This is a 62 ES335 right here. This belonged to Ed King of Skinnerd. This is a 1964 ES345. This is a Billy Gibbons. This has got a name. It's called Pearly Gates. It's a copy of his Pearly Gates guitar.
Cool.
And this guitar right here is a, let me see if I'll just bring it up here a little bit where you can see it. This is a 57 Stratocaster.
Wow. Look at that.
And this guitar is named Brownie McGee.
That's cool.
Brownie McGee got stolen out of my van a few years ago.
Oh, that so sucks. Damn it.
Yeah.
Dude.
Threw it right over a bridge. They were going to try to throw it in the creek, and it landed on a sand barge. And by gosh, I got it back, you know?
No way. That's crazy.
There's
It
so
took 2
stories.
weeks to
It's
get it
crazy.
back, but I got it back. Somebody stole it out of
Wow.
my van. I made a mistake of one night coming in from a recording session and falling asleep on the couch and watching Mary Tyler Moore. You know where I'm at.
Yeah.
And you know, I love watching old TV shows.
Yeah,
But I fell asleep and I went, oh my Lord, I forgot to unload the gear out of my van, and I left the van unlocked. I went out there, and they had left one guitar. They had taken this old piece of crap computer I had that wasn't worth a crap. But they had taken this Stratocaster was in a gig bag, and that looked like a gun case or a golf club bag. And they had taken that. I think when they opened it up and saw it was an old guitar, they went, oh, we didn't want this. And there's a bridge about a mile and a half from here. There's a creek, Boyd's Creek, and they just flung it over, and thank God it landed on a sand barge instead of submerging in water.
Right.
And a family found it. I had posters up all over Glasgow.
Wow.
And some farmer called me and said, Greg, this is Farmer Smith. I'm the fictitious name, of course. And I think I might know where your guitar is. And I picked him up, took him to this house, and lo and behold, it was on their front porch. And
Wow.
I gave him a little reward for finding it. And I said, thank you. And I got Hank it's not Hank the Plank, but I got Brownie McGee back. So there you go.
Wow.
That's cool.
You know, but there's so many times that happens. Like when that's, with us traveling full time,
Yeah.
we document parks, public lands, but we have all of our computer and camera gear in the car. And it's like, you can't just park your car and go for a hike. You have to have all your lodging set up, because that's the biggest, we know from we had a band years and years and years ago, and I know about carrying amps and guitars and all of it. And it's a pain in the ass, but if you don't, stuff does get missing, and I think that I was born to carry.
Well,
that's
I am too. I don't mind. Hey, when I hit the road, when I go on the bus, it's not unusual to find a box of CDs. I've even slept with an amplifier head in my bunk, like at Marshall. Sometimes I'll have a guitar. Not, I swear to God, I don't. When I leave the house to go on the road, I love playing music, and I love being on the road, but I hate leaving this area. I got so much junk. I can come down here and immerse myself in all this, and I hate leaving it. It's taken me a lot of years to get this junk together,
Yeah, it's a library.
I know. It's hard.
Amazing.
It's hard. Like, when we went on the road, we had to get rid of everything. We just gave it away.
That was tough.
And we had to do it twice. And we've done it a lot of times because we've traveled all over and lived in different countries. And you just kind of, it's always the music, the plants, the books. And
where are y'all from? Where are you? Where are you guys
California.
actually from?
We're from
California
originally,
but we lived in South Africa, Kenya, England, Mexico. We've lived in Florida, Arizona. California.
What years were you in California?
Oh, God.
70s, 74,
Yeah.
75, because I was born then. Now everyone knows my wonderful age, but Nancy our whole life until the mid 70s, then Kenya.
Yeah.
And
So
then
then
California
Kenya.
back in the
What
90s.
what part? I
Of
feel like I'm interviewing you. What part of California?
Oh, well, mostly outside of LA in a tiny town called Tahunga.
Okay.
It's
So-
Sunland, Tahunga area there.
And then Northridge, Sylmar.
Yeah.
And then
Oh,
Joshua
Hollywood.
Tree.
I've
Hollywood.
been Oh, Joshua Tree, Graham Parsons. Yeah, I know
Yeah.
all about
Yeah,
that.
yeah. And
Yeah.
then Julian in San Diego, up in the mountains
Yeah.
in Julian, San Diego.
Yeah.
Did you see any UFOs in Joshua Tree?
Well,
No,
stuff happens,
no,
man.
Marfa,
Texas.
Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
there's
Wow.
something
I
going
bet you,
on there.
I bet
Yeah.
you guys see some strange things when you're out driving, going from one
Yep.
place to
Yep.
another.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
we don't have a time clock anymore, so we're on the road and we hang
Right.
out in rest areas with truckers. Well, you guys got to do that too on the bus, right?
That's
You know,
great. I love it.
Sometimes you have to check and see, is it Halloween? Because you just saw
Yeah,
something that
we
tells you it's Halloween, but it's not.
it's not. It's just another rest area with a bunch of lot lizards.
Yes.
Lizards. I haven't heard that term in a long time.
Well,
I
they're
had a
still
CB
there.
radio. I had a CB radio in the 70s.
Oh,
Oh,
You
cool.
saw it.
cool.
Oh yeah, I missed.
We need to
Matter
get
of
one.
fact, I had a CB radio. It was in the garage, and a few years ago, I was doing a session for a group called Nashville Pussy. Have you heard of them?
No,
It's not
but I have
nasty.
now.
It's not nasty.
No.
It's they call their cat Nashville Pussy, but their name of their band is that. It's not nasty, I
Yeah.
promise. But anyway, they were going to go see ZZ Top the next day. And I said, well, I got a present for Billy Gibbons. I know Billy. So I sent him my Cobra 23 channel CB radio. I'm not sure what he did with it. Who knows? But I want to know the CB radio. I want to know
We
the
want
CB.
one. We want one. We want to call it Rubber Ducky. So we can go Rubber Ducky,
Yeah.
truckers.
Rubber Ducky?
Yeah, Rubber Ducky. We used to have a CB radio when we lived in Kenya that we could talk to everybody in the neighborhood because stuff went down all the time. So
I think it's great.
It was back in the
that's
day,
great.
but it would be dangerous. But speaking of trucking and like being on the road,
Yes.
this album, that's a fact, Jack. Now, number one, that is just kick ass, like boom, hear it in your face. That's a fact. And just listening to the whole album, first thing Nancy and I both said at the same time was road trip music.
Road trip.
Do a lot of truck drivers listen to your music, do you think? Like, because you have it's like you don't, I know everyone's saying Southern rock, but there's blues, there's
so
even
much.
a little bit of the Byrds in some of the songs, like just a little bit of everything in this album. And I'm like, holy crap, yeah. So for me, because I drive like all the time, I want music that takes me on a different trip, and it can't be the same. It has to take me on a journey. And it's very American. It's a lot of roots. So I can imagine truck drivers would be, listening.
Yes. I'm 68 and the guys are right below me. So we grew up with a healthy diet of the 60s and 70s. Of course, as we discovered music in the 60s, we went back. I mean, I heard, Chuck Berry and Little Richard and stuff around the house when I was a kid. And of course, if you become a student of the blues, you're automatically going to look on an album cover, like if you had a Cream album, like Wheels of Fire, and you looked and you saw Crossroads, you go, who's Robert Johnson? Or Sitting on Top of the World, who's Chester Burnett? And you'd go find out that's Howlin' Wolf. Then you might be looking at an album by the Allman Brothers, and you see Trouble No More, and see that's written by McKinley Morganfield. And you go, oh, that's Mud. You find out that's Muddy Waters. So we all were students in the 70s, and we went back to discover, as much as we loved Hendrix, Humble Pie, Montrose, Led Zeppelin, we wanted to go back and discover what they were listening to. And you cannot get any deeper than going back to the source. Here's a pile of CDs up here right now. This is what I've been listening to lately. Buddy Guy.
Oh, and you just played with him. He's one of my heroes. I love the Sweet Tea is still one of my favorite albums of all time.
It's a great album, isn't it? Yeah. Folk Festival of the Blues, which has got Muddy Waters, Buddy Guy, Howlin' Wolf, Sonny Boy Williams.
Cool.
Eddie Taylor, who played guitar for Jimmy Reed. I mean, it's some of the things I'm listening to this week. Jimmy Reed. And matter of fact, there's another folk album I was listening to I mean, I listen to other stuff. Tom Rush. I don't know if you ever heard of Tom Rush. The beautiful song on here called this is called The Circle Game. Is written by Joni Mitchell. For anybody that's getting up in our age, I think it's just a beautiful song to listen to because it just kind of takes you, I don't know, it's very touching to me. The Circle Game. But anyway, what I'm saying is the Headhunters, not just me, all the guys have been students, you know, whether it be blues, R&B. I mean, we all went through the folk rock thing of the Byrds, you know, we listened to the Turtles, we listened to everybody.
The Turtles.
You know,
Turtles.
Hey,
I love it.
right. The Cup of Tea, the song that you were referring to, Cup of Tea has got very much a English, it's a cross between California rock and a little English thing, you know. It's got that jangle factor, so to speak. And then track number 12, which is Let's All Get Together and Fight, which is
oh my God, we love that.
Love that.
Are you kidding me? That's the ultimate true Christmas
the truth,
album.
you know.
Holy cow. It's like the bitching in the kitchen and then we go.
We've seen that.
That's Richard's unique look at holiday season in the South or everywhere. And you know, the thing is, when Richard brought the lyrics and the melody, we sat down together and we just came up with some music, and it sounded like Ernest Tubb and the Texas Troubadours on drugs. Not bad, you know, but that's pretty country for us, you know. And you know, the album starts off, I know you want to talk about it's a Pack Jack, the title track, but the album starts off on a real positive note. Things are going to be all right, you know.
I love it. The harmony you guys have. It's almost like you know, Oak Ridge Boys style, you know, that whole you know. So you're like, oh, where are we going with this? And harmony is like unity. It just symbolizes unity. And then you go at the end of it, let's get together and fight. I mean, that's pretty.
That's so cool.
That's the beauty of this album. It's like it
goes
takes
from
you
unity
everywhere.
to a big fight at the end. You know, but it's
like New Year's Day to New Year's Eve.
Yes, it's a very unique band. I mean, the way things work, you know, somebody will have a song or a snippet of a song, or we'll write one in the studio, or we'll go back to our archives and pull out cassette tapes and go, oh, here's one we wrote many years ago. Let's revive it. I mean, that's a fact, Jack. Richard had that written, you know, the lyrics in it has a very strong message because things are crazy. You know, things are nuts. I thought things were getting a little better, but it's still crazy. The world's crazy anyway. Maybe things are settling, that maybe things are getting better on the pandemic. But he wrote that during the wreckage of 2020. And we, like I say, we weren't really able. 2019, we worked really hard on the road. We stayed out there. And 2020, we had planned on having and we thought we were going to have a really great year. We did about 5 dates and then everything shut down. You know, our last official date was in Alexandria, Virginia at the Birchmere, mid-February. Then when we came home, we had like a month off. We thought, well, and we got a little time off. We'll recharge and we'll go back and do our touring. Well, as soon as we got home, about a week later, dates started disappearing. They started moving. Things started locking down. And by May, you know what happened? April, May, it was crazy. We're all glued to the news. And, which was a mistake because I didn't sleep good at all. I'm not sure about you guys. You know, but anyway, we didn't, you know, we only ended up working about 9 dates that year, 2020. And at the end of the year, we were going to attempt to get together and do some pre-production for the album and get together, write a little bit, jam a little bit, see what we had in the archives and see what we had to offer. You know, when we went to the studio. I ended up getting COVID in November of, I got it the end of 2020. I went to a barbecue place in a neighboring county. Somehow I got it over there. And it wasn't a really bad case, but I had to isolate. I thought I was supposed to isolate for 2 weeks. When they finally tracked me down, they said, oh no, you were supposed to be isolated for like 10 days. And So immediately I went to White Castle and celebrated. That was it.
But
Then the
this
next-
is it's so interesting how this, has affected musicians and the audience. I mean, there's a lot of live streams and things like that, but a lot of
Yes.
creativity happened. We're working on our new Celebrate the Arts magazine. And I
Yes.
told Nancy, I'm like, if you look at over the last year, we basically have an interview with a musician, one per week, a year of music to showcase to the audience has probably heard it all on the radio, but we like to put it all as a nice little magazine package. Here was what you missed, And I'm like, we should do this, like, because what I love about your music is that don't pigeonhole it, And most musicians we know is like, unless they're diehard blues or whatever, or diehard country or pop, don't pigeonhole, because it's taking away from the experience. And so I want to do this thing of everybody dive into a new album once a week and don't even look about what it's about. Just dive into it. And I feel like
listen first,
because this over COVID this last year, the amount of new music that is out is so exciting. It's a good thing. COVID sucked, and it sucked that you got it, and a lot of people who died, but damn it, we've got some good music. We really do.
We got good music out of it. Hey, honestly, it wasn't good for business. It wasn't good for a lot of reasons, but in my case, it's bittersweet because I got my basement halfway cleaned out. I got the TV operational again. I watch Gunsmoke now. I watch Bonanza. I watched The Rifleman. I watched Mannix.
Oh my gosh.
What about All in the Family? Come on. All in the Family.
I love Edith and
Sanford and Son. All the things we're not supposed to watch anymore.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I told John Lappin, the guy that set this up, I said,
we love John.
Yeah, I did the first interview this morning. I said, okay, now I'm gonna go drink some Ripple.
Yeah.
Get drunk for you guys.
Oh yeah,
just kidding, because I don't drink.
Yeah. Well, please don't drink Ripple. I mean, geez, you've got Kentucky, you've got the Kentucky bourbon flowing
There's
everywhere
better things out there.
No kidding.
There's some Woodford Reserve back on the shelf, which I don't drink much anymore at all. For hardly ever. I might have a little sip. I mean, I put enough away in my day.
He knows. He's got the last song tells you everything. That's even for Christmas time. So everybody can have black eyes. I wanted to go back to the music of how you've got the blues and you go to the roots, right?
Yes.
And one thing that it dawned on me listening to the album, because I have like this weird addiction to slide guitar. And I was thinking about it today because I wonder about, there's a certain pitch even in African music with singing. There's especially women singing. And I think about country and blues, and I almost feel like the slide guitar, even if you think about Middle Eastern music, there's a certain pitch and slide maybe that is the connector of it all, that gels it together as roots music. There's something about slide that is just so primal and in your soul. It's sexy too. Like there's definitely, that element because it gets into the primal side.
I agree with you.
There's something.
I believe the slide guitar emulates the human voice more than just, I wish I had a open guitar I could demonstrate, but I can't right now. I would normally slide went. Well, I got a slide right here. Here's a slide, folks. If you want to know what a slide,
the glass slide.
This is what I use, to play slide. And I don't know. This is not my slide guitar, so it's not going to sound any good. But I know what you're talking about is that. This is not my slide, so, but.
That's like nature.
It's nature, but it's blues and swampy, and then
you know where you are.
It's swampy and desert cowboy at the same time.
Yeah. Well, there's a connection between. There's a definite connection between blues and country, and honestly, one of the things I found being a radio host for 22 years, actually, interviewing both African American and just our the white folks, everybody, one of the connecting things was everybody listened to the Grand Ole Opry. I've talked to Charlie Musselwhite, a great blues artist.
Oh, I
white
love
blues-
him.
Mhm.
Yeah, isn't he
Oh.
great? And
Mm.
he grew up listening to the Grand Ole Opry. And then I've talked to oh my gosh. Let me think a couple things. It'll come to me in a minute. I'm sorry, but everybody loved the Grand Ole Opry. And they all grew up listening to the Grand Ole Opry. Little Milton Campbell, that's what I'm trying to think about. I interviewed him many years ago, and and that was a connecting factor. So old country music like Jimmy Rogers, Hank Williams. It's just about real topics. It's about real life. And so is blues from Mississippi, Chicago. And getting back to slide emulates a human voice. It kind of has one of the things I was talking to Elliot Easton from the Cars about 2 years ago. He saw Jimi Hendrix open up for the Monkees.
Oh, wow.
He said, and you got to go back. If you go back, yeah, right. This was at Forest Hills, New York. And one of the things he noticed, you got to go back to 65, 66. Guitars were, come on, we had mostly,
Yeah.
you know what that is.
Yeah.
Walk on Line. Well, here comes Jimi Hendrix. And he said that was the first time I ever heard a guitar sound like a woman's voice. And so, there's a definite thing about the vibrato, which emulates the voice,
Well, it sets up mystery, like what's going to come after that.
There is a mystery
When you're
to
doing
it.
the rhythmic thing, you know what's coming after that. But when you set up that slide, it's like, what's going to happen next?
Oh, the slide. Yeah, slide's fun, and of course, I grew up, in Metcalfe County. I grew up in Louisville, moved to Metcalfe County. And of course, we watched country TV, and we would see the steel players, and we hear the dobro players. And when I first heard it, the first great slide player I ever heard was Dwayne Allman.
Exactly. I was going to say the Allman Brothers. That's what got me, dude. Like,
that's
and then
OPD.
they put the
really
organ in there.
but
And then the organ, having the organ in there and the slide at the same time was just kind of did this. It just, dude, like.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? There's something about that swirly whirly organ. Then here comes the slide, and then you got the bass, and then, the Allman Brothers. I didn't know about them until we got back to this country.
Yeah.
And because in South Africa, I just didn't know. And I knew, Leonard Skinner, we all knew that. Freebird, we knew that. But Allman Brothers, I just was, naive at the time, and then ended up jamming with a guy called David Goldfleece, who was their bass player at one point years ago.
Yeah, who he is.
And he's like, no, I'm the Allman Brothers, and I should be impressed. I'm like, well, I don't know who they are. He's like, well, he's like, I don't care about your singing either. So I'm like, okay. But anyway, we did a couple gigs together.
That was nice.
No, he's nice. He made it. Last time I saw him on YouTube, he did this. I watched some of his gigs with the Allman Brothers. I became huge fans of them and Derek Trucks now. Look at Derek Trucks.
Is fabulous.
Insane, but I learned, and David Goldfleece ended up scoring an entire orchestra piece, which I think is pretty cool. Like he just boom did that. But the Allman Brothers, once I got into it, I couldn't stop because they also brought in and I think with Tedeschi, with what Derek Trucks and Tedeschi are doing, they bring in this world music side into them, and blues, like Santana did it with, the blues brought in this global thing, and it just was like going off of the primal part of it all. It's just,
you're right, and you hit, and actually 10 minutes ago you mentioned primal, and it's very primal. Blues is primal. The thing about you could line up Eric Clapton, Santana, Jeff Beck, Jimmy Page, B.B. King, if he was still with us, and you could have this one guitar right here, and set them in this chair, and it would sound just like them. Whenever you could have the same amp, when they pick there is something that the good Lord put in our fingers. I don't know. He's a pretty smart fella. But there's something in our DNA. When we touch, we have our own sound, and those guys have sound. The blues is so diverse. I mean, you've got the the lightning hop. You got the the swampy. God. You got the swampy.
Yeah.
Then you got the Jimmy Reed.
Yeah. I love Jimmy.
Then you got Jimmy Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix, doing
that's because he strutted. He was a strutter.
That kind of stuff. We all got influences. We can't sound like these guys exactly because we weren't meant to.
No, you're supposed to be yourself, and you guys like the Headhunters.
The Headhunters.
It's kind of like, well, you think about where Kentucky is, right? I always look at it in a map, right? And that's what I love about Ry Cooder is he brought the American roots by region to the forefront. And Kentucky, like when Nancy's like, I know the Kentucky Headhunters. I'm like, of course you do. And we're listening, And the thing is, where you are located, it's kind of like Kentucky's like Missouri or Missouri. Everything went down in this central state where there were all sides. And if you look historically speaking, it's just some crazy history. And you're a crossing path to a lot of Native Americans being moved from one place to the other.
That's right.
Crossroads.
A lot of things happen
think about
there.
People moving. You've got the Lincoln Highway, what it is now. You're one of those states of crossing grounds and change. And look at all the people that moved to Kentucky just for bourbon. Seriously, that brings in the music, the Appalachian sound. I mean, and if you look at Appalachian music, that's another form of blues. It is.
I'm drinking coffee, by the way.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, me too.
Nancy's drinking bourbon just for you. No, she's not. I'm kidding. She's not. It's only noon here.
Yeah, I know that'd be a great radio show.
But yeah, when you think about a place, do you think being from Kentucky influenced your playing? Is that like what started you? What do you remember the day you picked up a guitar?
Well, it was around. Guitars were always around the house. My dad played a little guitar. My older brother Gary played guitar. My parents were very much steeped in country music. They were always listening. I grew up in Louisville originally, and we lived out in the south end of Louisville, which is pretty much the country folks lived out there. And my parents listened to this little AM station called WTMT, and I think the music that is really Kentuckyized bluegrass, which I'm not a bluegrass player. Bluegrass is that's a big part of what we are. But there was a guitarist by the name of Merle Travis. I'm not sure if you know who. And he came up with the Mississippi John Hurt was doing it before him, but you got the thumb style. Let me turn it up a bit.
Yeah.
More country blues.
It's almost Chet Atkins.
Exactly.
Yeah, see that's one of those classics. That's a classic ending, like boom,
Yep. Yeah, it's your little steel guitar lick.
Yeah.
There you go.
So cool. Yeah.
Well, Merle Travis was from Central City, Kentucky, that area. He's from Muhlenberg County. And he was a big influence on Chet Atkins. Chet Atkins often said that if he hadn't heard Merle Travis on the radio, that he would have been looking at the rear end of a mule.
Now we have government mule, but anyway.
Yeah, government mule. Warren Haynes. But Kentucky has its own music. It's very much steeped in country, but there's also a lot of R&B out of Louisville. There's a lot of great R&B artists. There's some great blues come out of Kentucky. Sarah Martin, also John Brim came out of Hopkinsville, Kentucky. He wrote Ice Cream Man that Van Halen did on their first album. And it's just, the way I've always described it is you've got Chicago, you got Cincinnati, you got Mississippi. We're right in the middle. And we were just picking up all these influences, these diverse influences. And it just all kind of settled here. And we have our own little thing. And the funny thing is, each part of the state has its own thing. Eastern Kentucky, they're more into the mountain music. You've got Sturgill Simpson, you've got Chris Stapleton, you've got Tyler Childers, Ricky Skaggs, Patty Loveless came from there. That's deep country. You get over here, there's a lot of rock blues with country.
Well, you're kind of close to Nashville too. Like you could just drop down that highway and you're there.
Yeah.
It's and you guys, you avoided Nashville for a while, but weren't you finally at the Grand Ole Opry? Did they allow your hair in? Wasn't that something I was reading that they wouldn't let you in the beginning because of your hair?
Funny?
What was that?
That's what we always heard. We always heard that Roy Acuff didn't like the way we looked. Now, I met Mr. Acuff back in the 80s. I went to Nashville in 1981 and worked with a country artist by the name of Ronnie McDowell. And I was there for 8.5 years. That's a long story how, even though I started playing with Richard and Fred and the Headhunters in 68, there was some stuff we had to do to go out and get some experience in different areas. And it became real apparent in the end of the 70s that our rock band, we had a rock band called Itchy Brother, which was after King Leonardo and Friends. You can look him up. There was a cartoon called King Leonardo Friends, and the evil lion that tried to overthrow King Leonardo's kingdom was Itchy Brother. So not that we were evil, but anyway, we came real close to signing with a label owned by Led Zeppelin, Swan Song Records. But when the disco thing hit and John Bonham died, that went south. It just didn't happen. So we all had to go do different things for a while. Richard wrote for Acuff Rose Publishing, and Fred went to work for Sylvia. I went to work for Ronnie McDowell. And the day I started with Ronnie McDowell, I met Doug Phelps, who's our singer, the main singer in the Headhunters. So a lot of it is just fate. Even though I lived in Louisville up to 1966. In the end of December of 66, my dad had gotten fed up with Louisville. And he said, I'm done with this. We're moving back to Metcalfe County. And of course, I had just saw The Loving Spoonful in November. And I thought, oh, gosh, I want to do, I want to do that,
Yeah.
So we moved to Metcalfe County, which was the best thing to ever happen in my life, because we moved down to a farmhouse and there was nothing to do but listen to the radio. There was a few records I had, and it was an old Stella guitar sitting in the corner that you could shoot arrows off of. The strings were so high, but you could play slide with that. And, it was fate moving back, because about 68, I met Richard Young. We did a talent show for 4-H talent show.
Oh, wow.
I met Richard Young, and we did Born to Be Wild. We did
Born to Be Wild. Yeah.
We did that, and whatever.
Awesome.
Then he said, hey, I've got a band with my brother and my cousin, and you want to come jam with us? And I was like, yeah, let's go do it. And that's where it all started. And we actually did do we won this young country talent show for one of the stations out of Nashville around 1970. And we did an appearance on TV. We did Crossroads by Cream with a drum solo by Fred. But our intentions was not to go country early on. No, we wanted to be a rock band. We wanted to be a hillbilly version of Led Zeppelin, that was it.
Fun. Yeah.
Well, I think Led Zeppelin still, when you think about Led Zeppelin, it was just, they still went off of blues. Talk about Primal. Robert Plant was doing the Primal stuff too.
Oh, God.
It goes into that. And I think they influenced a lot of people, but it's like the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, they still go back to who it's like Chet Atkins, right? And Chet Atkins, look at Mark Knopfler. Look at Mark Knopfler. If you didn't hear him talk or look at him, you wouldn't think he was from England. You know what I mean?
Mm.
That's right.
He could come
That's
from your backwoods. Now, tell us about the practice house. Is this the barn?
Yeah, the
The
barn
old
sounds
practice,
cool.
the old house is in Metcalfe County, outside of Wisdom, Kentucky, and it's just it's an old house that's been standing there. It belonged to Richard and Fred's grandmother, which is Miss Effie.
Mm.
Oh,
That's
Miss
the real
Effie?
shot.
Ah,
Oh,
That's
see,
the
now
real
this,
shotgun. Yeah, Richard and Fred's grandmother is Effie. She's shotgun Effie, and she
cool.
was a great old
so she's
lady.
not like Dirty Godiva then, really.
No,
Yeah.
no, no,
Don't
no.
you
But
call
she-
her Dirty Godiva then?
No, Effie wouldn't take no crap off anybody, and
That's
she
cool.
had a gun. She drove an old truck, and she had a gun in the. I don't think she had a shotgun. I wrote those lyrics in '73, and then the guys, we got together and finished it off. And but she was just a great old lady, and she was kind enough to gift the practice house to Richard and Fred sometime in the '70s, and that's where we get together and practice and jam. You know.
That's awesome to have a house. I mean, you
It
think like
is.
see what Mac used to have the brick house. Some friends of ours in South Florida have the band The Cravens. It's their family house. So
Yeah.
it's like, does it feel better than going into a recording studio just to be in a house?
Yes, absolutely.
I think
Well,
it's
the last
warmer.
album, it's a Fact Jack, which was released in October and now out there for you for your consumption. Hey, if you want to buy it, however you want to buy it,
Get it.
get it. Yeah, get a copy of it. It's very diverse. We were not able to get together because there again, I got COVID at the end of 2020, and we went smack into the holiday season, and I was. Yeah, I was okay. It didn't take me long to get over it. But, we said, oh, we'll just go straight into the studio without rehearsing, which I could tell when we went to the studio, our chops were down. Our chops were down. It took us a little while to get back in the groove, but
Sure.
we did it. It took a while. But yes, it always feels better to go to the old practice house and hash out ideas to create, just to let the music flow. Just have a blank canvas to see where the music's going to come,
It's cozy. I mean, when you got a kitchen and garden, and going back to playing together, a lot of the musicians we talked to saying even as a band, it was one thing if you're a solo act, but if you've got a band, like being back on stage was like because even live streaming, if everybody's on a Zoom or however everyone's doing it, it's still not the same because you don't have that energy, that unspoken
the
communication. But you look
electricity.
at each other for this part, or
Mhm.
there's that part of having to re-gel as your other language.
Well, there's the vibes, you
Yeah,
can pick up the vibes.
yeah, music's communication, and you get four guys in a room together looking at each other. We're all playing off each other. We're firing off each other. It's like a fine-tuned engine. I mean, the cylinders have got to be going.
Yeah.
The studio could be sterile at times. Matter of fact, I've got to do a session this afternoon for a guy out of Nashville. They won't be there, but I've got to go put guitar on, and that's the only bad thing about that. I can go back and fix my mistakes, but you're not in the moment because they've already recorded their track, and
Yeah.
Are you guys gonna do, because you've been going for so long, the Headhunters, would you put are you getting to a point of wanting to do like a big compilation, like live show kind of, is that possible?
Eventually we'll go through the archives and go back and say, hey, here's some stuff from back when we were kids, or here's some stuff we did live recordings from early Headhunters.
Because it's cool to go back, because that's when that purity is too, man. Like that just
exactly when we did Picking on Nashville back in '89. It's a really interesting album. I don't know how we created it. It just everything, all the pieces fell into place. It was just the right time for things to happen, and for us to recreate that album, we couldn't do that. As you know, you mature, you grow as a band, and there was an innocence with that first album, and I think the innocence kind of went away. But that's okay too, because you just become who you are.
That's what there's always that thing about, are you going to outdo yourself in the next album or this album? But I don't think so, because it's like a bottle of wine. each
Yes.
vintage is its own character.
Exactly.
Right.
Lisa, that's true.
It really is. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's what's so exciting about it. So you guys
Yeah.
going to tour this year?
Yes, we are. We've already done 2 dates this year.
Buddy Guy, you played with Buddy Guy. I'm so
I
jealous.
played
so
with
cool.
I played with Buddy Guy Friday night in Louisville. I just
Damn it.
I bought tickets to the show, and I know the drummer, and I saw him before Buddy went on stage. He said, "Would you freak out if we got you up to play?" I went, "No," but I mean, I didn't come to
Dude,
jam.
Buddy is like amazing.
Oh, he's phenomenal. That was a
Mm.
great thing to happen. He didn't know who I was, and when I walked out there, he thought they were bringing some young kid out, and he looked at me and said, "You're not young. You're old like me." And I thought that was great. And he
That's
gave
funny.
me plenty of room. He gave me plenty of room to play, and he was so gracious. He's so humble. He's a great man, and that was a thrill. We'll be playing. We're playing with Marshall Tucker on the 11th in
Wow.
Indiana. Then we got a private show on the 12th, and I don't know where we're at.
You got Hank Jr.
We
coming
got
up.
Hank Jr. coming up this summer. I think it's
Yeah.
August 12th, I think. That's the first
Yeah.
time we played with Hank in a long time. But we'll be on the road. We'll do between 60 and 70 shows. That's our comfort zone. We don't go out for 200 shows a year. You know, we're older guys now. We like to come home, you know, enjoy our family.
Mhm.
Hank, speaking of Hank Jr., do you like Hank the Third?
Oh, I love Hank
Listen
the
to
Third.
this.
We met many years ago. He's a very diverse cat, you know. He could do his grandfather, or he could do the punk rock thing. Man, he could do anything. Yeah.
And
Awesome.
it's just
We
kind of
love Hank.
I think he's thrown some stones at the industry too, the music industry.
Well, he probably has. I don't know much about him, except I remember when he was a kid, we started touring with Hank in 1990, and he was kind of hanging around back then. And
That's
back
cool.
then, yeah. Then we did a show. I remember us doing a show with him down in Macon, Georgia. Oh gosh, back in the 90s, you know, and that's when he was wearing the white suit like his grandfather and all that stuff. But then I've heard stuff where he's out doing punk rock, you know.
Yeah. And he
Super
just,
Sucker or something. What's the name of his band? I don't know.
he's done all kinds of, I don't know, just the Mississippi mud. Like
Yeah.
he's done things against Texas and you know, you look at Nashville too. Nashville has gone through so many changes in music, and then there's country, and people are like, no, it's pop. Like you were talking about Chris Stapleton, and Nancy and I, seriously, we've listened to Chris Stapleton.
Yeah.
And I can't say he's country. I just can't. I just think he's like this amazing singer that's
He's a modulation. He's he's taken every influence. I mean, he's got a very R&B bluesy voice.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
and he's great. I've never met that fella. I've only met Sturgill Simpson. It's funny that even though we're all from Kentucky, we haven't run in the same circles.
Should have a Kentucky music festival. Come on, you put it
We
on.
Yeah.
should. I
That would
agree.
be
I think it's
awesome.
I think it's about time, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
think you
that'd
should
be
do it.
cool.
Do it at the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do it at the practice house. I love it. So what's
Well,
it like
yeah.
doing your own label too versus
That-
doing, you know, you were with Mercury Records at one point, and then just doing it your own? Does it give you a nice, better freedom, more work?
Well, it's more work, of course, having your own label. There's ups and downs to it. I mean, the good thing is you own the masters and you have more control as you get older.
That's
I mean,
big.
obviously, you know, when we were on Mercury Records, those masters belong to Mercury, you know, and but that's okay. I mean, you know, you learn from your experiences, and it's good to have our own label. I mean, we don't have a building of offices and people working for the label.
You don't
We
need
just
to
have-
anymore.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah.
necessary.
As long as you got a phone and internet, a laptop,
Zoom.
man, you
Yeah.
can do it.
You
Yeah.
could do
Yeah.
almost anything. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I love
But
that you're doing.
go ahead,
Go ahead.
Ryan.
No, I was going to say,
Well,
I
we'll
love
be
that
out-
you're doing a lot.
We'll be out touring this year. We'll be doing our thing. I'll be doing my radio show
Cool.
at D93. I do a radio show every Monday night
Sweet.
from 7 to 10 Central Standard Time, called the Lowdown Hoedown. And you can, it's worldwide. You can listen on the internet. That's
Oh, cool.
WDNSFM.com or D93rocks.com. And that's what we'll be doing. You know, that's what we do. You know, musicians have to play. If fish don't swim, they die. You know,
That's
right.
good.
That's
Yep.
right. That's right. Well, we're gonna close. I really love this song, and you're singing on this one. I know you do a lot of backup too. Shotgun Effie. I was just like, we have to play this, and you know, I
So
still
much
want to.
fun.
I want to play a lot of the songs. You know, especially also we wanted to play "Let's All Get Together and
But
Fight"
I
because
love that.
we'll have to
song.
do that
Well,
at Christmas time. That's
Yeah,
a
that's cool.
absolutely. Well, Shotgun
start-
Effie was
yeah.
written in 73. It was written about Richard and Fred's grandmother. And we actually recorded another version of it back in the end of 73, and it was released on a little 45 in 74. If you go on YouTube and look up Itchy Brother, Shotgun Effie,
Okay.
it's out there, and we sound like a little bunch of banshees sing. I mean, you know, I'm trying to sing this song, but I'm not really one of the singers in the band, but that's me screeching on this one. So forgive me.
Hey, no, we love it. Everyone, again, the album is out. That's a fact, Jack. Oh, and hey, tell the title. You were going to say that about that too. The title of this. I mean, that song is just like in your face. Here's some reality.
That's right.
You know,
Right, man. You know, hey, people need to love each other, quit fighting, and because the
Yeah.
train's going to run off the track. If it doesn't, Richard
Mhm.
was dead on about what he said, and hats off to brother Richard. He writes some good. I always say Richard writes some nice little mini sermons, so to speak. You know,
Mm.
yeah,
does.
and it's a really good song, and obviously an amazing album, especially for us who love to road trip and listen to music,
Thank you.
because that is one of
Mm.
the best ways too, is to just sit and look at countryside and listen to music, and it's always a different
Cool.
experience. And this is one of those albums you'll have a different experience as you listen
Yeah.
to it, and it's just
Mm.
it's going to take you on a journey. So everyone,
Yep.
KentuckyHeadhunters.net is the website. Keep up with us at bigblendradio.com. Thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure meeting you, Greg.
Yeah.
Nice meeting you. You guys stay in touch,
Okay.
and
Absolutely.
let's do it again, okay?
All
Yeah.
right, you bet, you bet. And we're going to send you a picture of the Dirty Godiva.
Yes, we are.
Who we-
Please do, please do. Hey, you got my number. You got my
Yeah,
number.
we'll
So
be in touch.
stay in touch. I've got to jump off.
Lord, here she comes.